Hello everyone. Today I'm going to explain about body fluids and circulation, which is a topic of intermediate. So, among the body fluids, one of the important body fluid is the blood. The blood is the most commonly used body fluid by most of the higher organisms, including the humans. The another body fluid which is lymph, it helps in the transport of certain substances. In this chapter, we'll learn about the composition and properties of blood and lymph. Lymph is also known as tissue fluid and the mechanism of circulation of blood. So, starting with the blood, as we all know, blood is a special connective tissue. It consists of a fluid matrix, plasma, and formed elements. So, coming to the plasma, it is a straw colored viscous fluid. It constitutes about 55% of the blood. In the plasma, the proteins contribute about 6 to 8% of it, and the remaining it consists of the water, which is about 90 to 90%. So we can know that the plasma, it is a straw colored viscous fluid. In the blood, it constitutes about 55%. While coming to the plasma constitution, it contains 6 to 8% of proteins and 90 to 92% of water. The proteins present in the plasma are fibrinogen, globulins, and albumins. These are the major proteins. Now, the fibrinogens, they are needed for clotting and coagulation of blood. And coming to globulins, they are primarily involved in defense mechanism of the body. The albumins help in osmotic balance. Plasma also contains small amounts of minerals like sodium, calcium, magnesium ions, as well as chloride ions. The factors for coagulation or clotting of blood, these are present in the plasma, but they are in the inactive form. When the plasma doesn't have clotting factors, then it is known as serum. So, in a brief manner, I'll explain this. What is the plasma? We know that it is a straw-colored fluid, viscous fluid. It has 6 to 8% of proteins and the remaining constitutes water. Now, the major proteins which constitute the plasma, these are the fibrinogen, globulins, and albumins. Now, what's the work of fibrinogens? They help for clotting or coagulation of blood, which is important for a human. Then, coming to globulins, they are involved in defense mechanisms. Simple points. Then, albumins, they are osmotic balance. Fibrinogen, coagulation, globulin, defense mechanism, albumins, osmotic balance. Along with this, plasma also contains small amounts of minerals like sodium, calcium, magnesium, chloride ions, etc. And as the plasma contains coagulation or clotting factors, but some of the times or most of the times when plasma does not have these clotting factors, then it is known as serum. Then while explaining the blood, while starting the blood, I said that it is a special connective tissue consisting of a fluid matrix, plasma, as well as formed elements. Now we have spoken about plasma. Moving on to the formed elements. So formed elements include erythrocytes, leukocytes, and platelets. They are called as formed elements. Okay, erythrocytes, leukocytes, and platelets. Together they are called as formed elements. And they constitute about 45%. So here 55% was plasma, 45% is the formed elements in the blood. So the first was erythrocytes. Erythrocytes. As we all know, erythrocytes are also known as red blood cells, RBCs. These are the most abundant of all the cells, which is nothing but they are found highly in the blood. So a healthy human, we are talking about a healthy human or an adult man, they has an average 5 millions to 5.5 millions of RBCs of blood. Now these RBCs are present in the blood, we all know, but where are they produced or formed? They are formed in the red bone marrow in the adults. The main most important thing is that they have absence of nucleus, which means that in RBCs there is no nucleus. The shape of the RBCs is biconcave. Now they are known as red blood cells, so of course they will be having red color. They have a red colored and iron containing complex protein. We all know why our blood is red in color, due to hemoglobin. So they contain hemoglobin protein. And a healthy individual, it has 12 to 16 grams of hemoglobin in every 100 ml of blood. Now these erythrocytes, they play a significant role, which is nothing but an important role in the respiratory gases. Now they are the erythrocytes, red blood cells. They are alive but they die. They have a lifespan of 120 days, after which they die or they get destroyed in the spleen, which is known as the graveyard of RBCs. That's the reason it's red in color, because it's the graveyard of RBCs. Now coming to the formed elements include erythrocytes, leukocytes and platelets. Together they are known as formed elements. Now erythrocytes are also known as red blood cells, and they are in these cells the nucleus is absent. They are biconcave in shape. Healthy human has 5 million to 5.5 million of RBCs. RBCs have a lifespan of 120 days, and a healthy individual has 12 to 16 grams of hemoglobin. Okay, then moving on to leukocytes. Leukocytes, these are also known as white blood cells, like erythrocytes, red blood cells, leukocytes, white blood cells. They are colorless. White blood cells, nothing but the colorless. Why are they colorless? Because they lack hemoglobin. In erythrocytes, hemoglobin was present. That's the reason they were red in color. Now leukocytes, they are white in color due to the absence of hemoglobin. These are nucleated. Opposite of these, erythrocytes, okay, they are absence of nucleus, presence of nucleus, and they are less in number. While we saw that they have 5 to 5.5 million, these are 6,000 to 8,000. That's it. They are short lived, means when compared with erythrocytes, they were 120 days. The lifespan was 120 days, whereas in leukocytes it's slightly shorter. Now we have two main categories of WBCs, which is nothing but the WBCs are divided into two, that is granulocytes and agranulocytes. So they are divided into two, granulocytes and agranulocytes. Again, these granulocytes have some various types, whereas agranulocytes, these are also some. So coming on to granulocytes, neutrophils, eosinophils and basophils. These are the different types of granulocytes. Okay, neutrophils, eosinophils and basophils. These are different types of granulocytes. Whereas lymphocytes, monocytes, these are agranulocytes. What we studied, leukocytes, these are also known as white blood cells or colorless. They are colorless because they lack hemoglobin, which is absence of hemoglobin. Now they are nucleated and they are short-lived than the RBCs. They are in less number when compared with the RBCs, which is 6,000 to 8,000. Now they are divided into two, that is granulocytes and agranulocytes. Granulocytes are neutrophils, eosinophils, and basophils, whereas agranulocytes include lymphocytes and monocytes. Now, neutrophils, these are the most abundant cells. And these neutrophils and monocytes, they are phagocytic in nature. What does they do? They destroy the foreign organisms which enters the body. Now, basophils, these secrete histamine, serotonin, heparin. These are nothing but the secretions which are involved in inflammatory reactions. Now, coming to eosinophil, they resist the infections. They are also associated with allergic reactions. The allergy which we have, they are associated with eosinophils. Now, lymphocytes. They are of again two major types. They are divided into two major types, that is B cells and T cells, or B lymphocytes or T lymphocytes. They are responsible for immune response of the body. Now, these the B cells mature in bone marrow. That's why they are known as B cells or B lymphocytes. Whereas T cells, they mature in the thymus. That's the reason they are known as T lymphocytes or T cells. Now, coming to platelets. The platelets, these are called as thrombocytes. What are these? These are cell fragments. Now they are produced, these are the special cells that are produced in the bone marrow. Platelets, also called thrombocytes. These are cell fragments which are produced in the bone marrow, or the special cells which are produced in the bone marrow. Now these platelets, what's the work of them? So they release a variety of substances, out of which some of them are involved in the coagulation or clotting of blood, which is nothing but when we have a cut, the coagulation or the clotting of blood takes place due to these platelets. When there is a decrease in these number of platelets, what happens? There will be absence of the clotting disorders. People may lead to clotting disorders, then which results in the excessive loss of blood from the body.